What happens when you die without a will as an expat? You want your partner and your children to be taken care of if something was to happen to you. You probably assume that if you die, everything passes to them automatically, but that assumption can be very wrong. And when there's no will in place, it's not your family who decides what happens next. I work with clients every day who live and hold assets across different countries. And one of the most common and most damaging gaps I see in financial planning is not having a will that actually works for their situation. It's not a comfortable topic, but it's an important one. And in this video, I want to explain what really happens when you die without a will, who makes decisions instead of you, how this works differently in different countries, and why expats are often more exposed. Point 1, what it actually means to die without a will. If you die without a will, you die intestate. That means you no longer decide who inherits your assets, who manages your estate, or who becomes guardian of your children. These decisions are taken out of your hands and passed to the legal system. Court rules follow, they do not follow intentions. The value of a will is control. Without a will, your control's gone. So now we know what dying without a will really means. Next, look at how inheritance can actually play out. Point 2, the law decides who inherits. It may not be what you expect. This is where many people are surprised. Inheritance rules are set by law and differ by country. A recent and well-known example is Liam Payne. It was widely reported that Liam sadly passed away at the age of 31 without a will in place. Despite leaving an estate of around 24 million after debts and expenses, he was not married at the time of his death, but he had a child, his son Bear, who is currently 8 years old. Because there was no will, the law steps in and decides what happens next. Under UK law, Bear is legally entitled to inherit the estate, but until he turns 18, the money is managed on his behalf by court-appointed administrators. But once he reaches adulthood, he will gain full control over that inheritance. And that is the key point. Without a will, the law decides who inherits, when they inherit, and how much control they receive. They are simple rules, but they may not reflect how someone would want their money managed, protected, or passed on over time if they'd set the rules themselves. In the US, things work differently. Rules vary by state. Each state has its own intestacy laws. That means the outcome can change depending on where you live, and it's not something you should guess. In the UAE, the situation is different again. If there's no valid will in place, local laws can apply, and for expats, that can lead to an outcome they did not expect. For expats, this often means Sharia-based inheritance rules are used by default. In simple terms, that can mean assets are split according to fixed rules set by law. A spouse does not automatically receive everything. Children inherit different shares, and the court, not the family, oversees the process. For parents, it can also affect guardianship decisions for children, which may be decided by courts rather than set by you. The takeaway is simple. Assuming is risky. So now we understand inheritance. Now let's talk about timing and stress. Point 3, probate delays and added stress for your family. Probate happens whether or not you have a will. By dying without a will often means more paperwork, longer delays, and more uncertainty. At a time when families are already dealing with loss, that can add significant stress. Access to money may be delayed, and decisions may be stuck in the process. A will helps things move more smoothly. In many ways, it's a final act of care for people you leave behind. If this video is helpful, make sure you like and subscribe. These are topics people often avoid, but they matter more than most realise. Now we've covered why delays may be an issue, now let's look at tax. Point 4, tax consequences can be worse without a will. A will's not just about who gets what, it's also about how much of the estate is lost to tax. In the UK, inheritance tax rules apply, and allowances can be missed without proper planning. In the US, estate tax rules can apply federal and state level depending on your situation. In the UAE, there is no local inheritance tax, but you still need to check the tax rules of your home country because that's where your estate may be taxed. Tax can depend on where you live, where your income comes from, and in some cases, your citizenship. That is why planning matters. There's one more area people often overlook. Point 5, guardianship of children. If you have children, this is a critical part. Without a will, guardianship decisions are made by the courts. Courts aim to act fairly, but they do not know your family dynamics or your wishes. They can create uncertainty, delay, even conflict between family members. Naming guardians in your will removes the uncertainty, protects the children, not just your assets. Living abroad adds different complexity to estate planning. Different countries have different rules and different outcomes. A will simplifies all that. It ensures your wishes are followed, your family is protected, and unnecessary stress and costs are avoided. If you've not reviewed your will, or you do not have one in place, it's worth addressing. Putting a will in place offers peace of mind, not just for you, but for the people you care about the most. I'll see you in the next video.